NERSBA is the Northeast Regional School of Biotechnology and Agri-Science with a focus on agri-science and biotechnology. We pull from 5 different counties, so we do have kids they might drive an hour every day to come to school. So we are very far and branched out, but it's a great school. Ag education is huge. I feel like if we could implement it in younger grades, and especially middle school, and start all the way up, I mean, eventually we're going to get to the point that how are we going to feed, with 2% of farmers, how are we going to feed those 9 billion people? So ag is one of those industries that it just can't die and go away. And a lot of people think it can until it's gone. And then what next? And so it's one of those things that we just got to bring it back and make sure that we are educating people. I mean, especially as a teacher, my job is to educate, is to put it out there for them and realize what they have, and then if it's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. And so, I mean, just agriculture in general is one of those things that we got to have it. We couldn't live life without it.
So everything that I teach here, even if it's traditional science, I always try to put an agriculture lens on it. So if we are talking about in chemistry class, if we're talking about acids and bases and pH, we always talk about soil science. Or if we're talking about in our biology classes, when we're talking about symbiotic relationships, we're always talking about pesticides and things that are grown and ways that we kind of have this whole circle of life thing that all has to do with anything that I can grab from agriculture, farm life, things that these kids can identify with. I think a lot of students come here and they think, well, I don't want to be a farmer, so why am I at the ag school? And I say, well, you know, what do you think about being an engineer? What do you think about being a physicist? What do you think about being a scientist? And then let's go to explore some of these other options that all are, you know, biotech related or ag related that you didn't even know were an option for you. Just because you thought you wanted to be a farmer is not necessarily what this school was about.
And that's the big perception that a lot of people see. Well, I don't want to be a farmer. Well, that's fine. You don't have to be. But here's all your other options. And they're like, oh, I had no idea I could be an attorney for farmers. Like, it's one of those things. They're like, oh, it's awesome. So there's definitely a lot of options out there for them.
I think the big thing that gets talked about in my classroom and that I see being talked about more and more is agriculture on the global scale, and about how this links to feeding a growing population and supporting a growing population worldwide, you know, not only just in our state or in our region, but across the entire globe. How are we going to feed all these people, and resource uses and conservation uses? I feel like all of that is just really tied together. And that's something that we talk about in my classroom all the time.
Here at the school we have, I think, 108 girls and 83 boys. So you figure out, I mean, it's a lot. And in the students I teach, I think there's 50 kids total I teach, and there's like 30-some girls out of it. So I mean, it's a female-dominated industry that's slowly starting to progress. And biggest thing with women is just being encouraged to go do it. Because a lot of them are like, oh, it's male-dominant. You know, women shouldn't be doing this, but they have to realize, well, sometimes you just gotta go do it.
Find a way to create a spot for themselves. You know, there's a niche for everybody, and find something that you really enjoy, and it doesn't matter whether there's somebody who's ever done that before you or not. Like, then just go and do it. I think I would advise them to be brave.